Well, earlier we talked about opportunity zones created by new federal tax rules that encourage investment in underdeveloped neighborhoods. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, we talk more about the tax benefits and the opportunities for the average person. Keith Sessions, senior portfolio manager at U.S. Bank, joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more. Keith and Kelly.
Thanks, Peg. Keith, thanks for being here this morning.
Absolutely.
So we heard about opportunity zones in our first block, but is there a way for an individual to invest in these opportunity zones through like a mutual fund or exchange traded fund?
Yeah, so for the average person, the short answer to that is going to be no. However, for accredited investors, there are some private funds that you can invest in that invest either in operating enterprises, real estate, or both. Now, an accredited investor is somebody with $1 million in net worth, not counting their home, or they have an annual income of $200,000 as a single person or $300,000 as a joint couple.
So that rules out a lot of people. Why such a high threshold and not available for everyone?
Yeah, it does rule out a lot of people. However, these investments need to be considered illiquid. So in order to get the tax benefit from this investment, it needs to stay in there for at least 10 years. Furthermore, the underlying investments, what the funds would buy, would be private real estate, private businesses, things that aren't necessarily liquid like they are in the public markets. And so because of that, the funds have to restrict how much money can go out of them or come in. With the restricted private funds like that, you invest the money, you know it's going to be in there for 10 years. You need to have that money where you don't have to use it during that time.
Got it. So for the investors who can invest in the communities, what are some of the benefits?
Yeah, so there are some benefits to the communities, and you know, earlier we heard about some of those as well as some of the pitfalls that are out there, but realize that opportunity zones are around the country. It's not just inner city, it's in suburbs, it's in rural communities. So think about it in a depressed rural community. If a large corporation comes in and builds a shipping facility, or they build a you know, a manufacturing plant, you get a high number of well-paying jobs in there. That brings in the housing, that brings in all the subsequent businesses, so you get a growth in that area. For the investors, you get an ability to diversify your portfolio. And because of the tax benefits that are in there, they gain some benefits as well. So this was really designed initially for low-cost basis, highly concentrated positions. And people can sell that in 2019 if they sell those positions, reinvested into an opportunity zone, then the money reinvested, that capital gains, you get a discount of about 15% on that. And that tax is not due until 2026. If you do it in 2020 or 2021, the discount's only 10%, but the tax is still due in 20 and 26. Once it's invested, if it stays invested in that opportunity zone for 10 plus years, then the capital gains on that becomes tax-free. And that can grow all the way up until 2047, at which point anything past that becomes taxable. So it is a win for the investor on that side. You know, one of the important things to consider as they look at investments here is that you don't want the tax tail to wag the dog. So in other words, an investment needs to be a good investment, and it becomes a little bit better if there's a tax incentive. But a bad investment stays a bad investment, and that the tax incentive doesn't help at all in that case.
Well, obviously there's a lot to these opportunity zones. The print edition has devoted a whole special section to this. We talked about it in our first block. We're talking about it with you from a banking perspective. So lots to watch as we move forward with this. So
absolutely.
Thanks, Keith, and we will continue to watch it, I'm sure.